morning. My name is Captain Brian Marvin. I'm from the U.S. Coast Guard. I'm here at the 2010 ISPI International Conference hosted in San Francisco, not too far from my home area where I live now in Alameda, or in Petaluma, California, and work in Alameda, California. So we're glad ISPI is close by. I graduated from the Coast Guard Academy in 1983 as an undergraduate in ocean engineering, and I've had a career for the last 28 years as a commissioned officer in a mix of training assignments and operational assignments, and certainly proud of my career and my organization, and happy to share my perspectives on human performance technology. My first exposure to human performance technology was when a solicitation came out to attend graduate school. The Coast Guard was offering at that time to pay for your graduate school if you went into this new program, I think then called Instructional Systems Design. I applied for and was accepted and graduated from Indiana University in 1990. I was just trying to do the math, 1990 or 1991. I had role models and instructors there like Dr. Mike Molinda, Dr. Ivor Davies, and of course Tyagi, who could forget lunchtime seminars with Tyagi, all very positive things. When I graduated from this program at Indiana University, the Coast Guard had duties for me that were related to my degree, and the first place that I went was up to the Coast Guard Academy, and was placed in an environment to try to make the most out of our ship simulation. We had a full mission ship simulator where we taught navigation and leadership on the bridge and how to operate a ship at sea and so on, all in a simulated environment. And for the Coast Guard, this was somewhat new because simulators in aviation had been more commonplace, and trying to simulate the marine environment for ships and boats was new, and they asked me to do that in New London, Connecticut at our Coast Guard Academy. I was happy to do that. Have since spread that sort of style of learning around to many of our campuses and training centers, including a big ship simulator for the Coast Guard that now exists in Petaluma, California. But enough about that. My biggest influence probably through the years, I mentioned a few of the people. I've also taken lately to Dr. Judy Hale and Dr. Carl Binder, read some of their work and tried to look for their names on conference schedules and attend those. HPT projects that I've been involved in are many and varied through the years. It was a long career. The Coast Guard now has, over the last 25 to 30 years, put 120 or so folks through master's degree programs in this field, and I'm the senior most of that group, so I'm the old man of the ISD HPT community, and so I've had a lot of projects. When I was in my junior officer days, I was often helping with coursework or simulation scenarios, performance improvement for ships, leadership training, navigation training, and so on. Through the years, that's advanced to personnel training and new personnel and HR systems. I had a training command at Training Center Petaluma, where we had all of the Coast Guard's introductory training for a variety of skill sets, including cooking, things like cooking, hospital corpsmen, electronics, computers. What am I missing there? Storekeeping, small purchasing, yeoman, paperwork, admin, all of those schools, 600-person unit up at Petaluma. Apparently I did well there because fast forward a little bit forward to where I am now, they've elevated my position, and I'm appreciative, and now I have a chance to oversee all of the Coast Guard training nationwide at 7 campuses and training centers, and staffs in several locations on both coasts and so on. So we handle aviation training and ship training and all of our basic training from boot camp all the way up through graduate school. So it's quite a project, and my HPT foundation and roots and attending conferences like this has certainly helped me and the Coast Guard be successful. The Coast Guard's also, have a note to myself, the Coast Guard's also been the beneficiary of the ISPI Awards program. It's been a neat incentive through the years to challenge our younger officers who are handling instructional design projects to go through the process and the rigor and the discipline and the documentation and the measurement required to meet that threshold. So we're pleased to participate in that as well. So as I look forward, or even actually demographically coming to the end of my Coast Guard career, my thought on HPT shifts slightly to organizational change for our entire Coast Guard, and that is to make sure that we have our arms around all things training and performance related in the Coast Guard, so that not only do we control or oversee actual classroom training or online training, but that we help ensure that the environment that our learners return to is conducive for them to use that training, meaning our doctrine and tactics, techniques, and procedures are aligned with what they learned in the schoolhouse. If a standardization or inspection team visits their unit, that team is inspecting and checking against the same kinds of standards that they learned in the school and that they were visited by trainers and so on, so that all of that matches and there's not the frustration and lack of alignment of I learned one thing in school and now they're telling me something different and so on. So that takes some organizational change in a military culture like the Coast Guard. That means we have to cross some lines horizontally. It means we have to re-rack some chains of command and so on. So as I become an older guy in this field, I look more about organizational development and look to apply HPT philosophy and principles to our entire organization. And I have great support from those above me to do it. Coast Guard's invested heavily in human performance technology, and it's paid off. We're the smallest of the armed services, but our missions are diverse and humanitarian in nature, and we're proud of our service and our relationship with HPT. And I thank all the senior folks in ISPI for allowing me to be interviewed.